Hey guys, MetalJesus here. Now I finally did it. I finally broke down and bought an Xbox One X. However, I couldn't help myself. I also had to get an original Xbox skin for it. But that's not all. I also had to pick up the Hyperkin Duke controller. Why? Because I'm very excited about how Microsoft has been making this console backwards compatible for the original Xbox as well as the Xbox 360. So in this video, I'm going to show you what original Xbox games I've been playing and what you might want to play on yours if you pick one up. Let's take a look. Here's my Xbox One X. Now the reason why I got the more powerful version of the console is because I have a 4K television and it can take advantage of the upgraded visuals. Also, Microsoft has been releasing enhanced versions of older games and I wanted to take advantage of that as well. Here's the original controller, just for comparison, because I'm going to show the Duke one here in a second. And here is that skin that I was talking about in the intro. Now, when I first saw this, I think on Polygon.com, I knew I had to have this because I knew I was going to be playing old Xbox games on my Xbox One, and it just seemed so perfect, so funny. And if you're curious, if you want this for your system, I'll put a link down in the video description below. You can find it on Amazon. I have to say, I like it. It looks pretty cool. You know, the Xbox One X is a nice looking console, but it is a bit bland, and this definitely makes it look cooler. But to round out the experience, I needed to get the Hyperkin Duke controller. This is the recreation of the original Xbox controller. This works on Windows as well as the Xbox One. Now, besides being kind of cool, it is also functional because it has the extra buttons that you want in those old games. And check this out. When you first turn it on, it has an LCD screen in there that shows the boot up of the original Xbox. That is so awesome. All right, enough farting around. Let's play some old Xbox games on new hardware. And the first one I had to try is Star Wars Battlefront II. Love this game. So many gamers are missing classic Battlefront. So many people bitching about the new Battlefront. Well, this is the old one and it was so much fun. A couple things to note about this is that it was made by the same developer that made Mercenaries as well as Destroy All Humans. As you would expect, you can choose different classes with very different playstyles. Also in this game, they added the ability to control heroes. That's a special class of famous characters from the movies and TV shows. And of course, it's Star Wars, so you need to have some space battles, and this game is epic. It has great space battles. Now, it says on Microsoft's website that this game is supposedly graphically enhanced if you run it on the more powerful Xbox One X, like I'm doing right here. I'm not 100% sure what they've changed, if it's just the textures or maybe the polygon count, but as you can see, it looks and plays fantastic. Next up is a game that not a lot of people talk about called Breakdown. This is a game by Namco and it was exclusive to the original Xbox. This is a first-person game unlike any other that I have personally ever played. Think of this as part shooter, also part brawler, and then maybe even part survival horror. Now, what I like about this game is that it has a pretty cool sci-fi story. You, the main character, wake up in an underground facility in Japan, and then you quickly learn that there's some super soldiers that have seemingly invincible powers. However, no worries, because you unlock similar powers and eventually start using them to kick some ass. But the story quickly turns kinda crazy because there's a government conspiracy, there's also some time travel, there's multiple endings. But at the end of the day, it's the mix of first-person shooter and also first-person brawling that I think that really makes this game stand out and is quite unique. So if you haven't played it before and you have an Xbox One X, definitely pick up a copy. All right, next up is a fan favorite called Panzer Dragoon Orta. This is an on-rail shooter that is exclusive to the original Xbox, but now it's running beautifully on the Xbox One X. Now, for some of you, this might sound familiar, and that's because the series got its start on the Sega Saturn, and those were fantastic games. But again, Panzer Dragoon Orta on the Xbox is considered probably one of the best ones ever made. Now, I have to say, if you're familiar with other arcade-style on-rail shooter games, what sets the Panzer Dragoon series apart is that it has lots of nuance in its gameplay. For instance, you'll notice I can control where I'm looking, which is very different than most other on-rail shooters, so the entire world is actually in 3D. Also, you'll notice that I'm morphing my dragon into different styles, each with their own strength and weakness. And so you are constantly morphing your dragon into different styles depending on what weapon you need at that moment. And this game really keeps you on your toes. It's also worth knowing that if you play this game for 20 hours or more, you're going to unlock a bunch of extra stuff, including a complete port of the original Saturn game. And like some of the other games I've mentioned in this video, this one supports enhanced video resolutions and rendering on the Xbox One X. It's an absolute classic game for a reason. If you haven't played it and you have an Xbox One, please do yourself a favor and pick up a copy. All right, Jade Empire, one of my all-time favorite BioWare RPGs. They made this game immediately after making another one of my favorites, which is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Now, there's many things that I love about this game, and I can go on and on about it for a long time. However, I guess at the core, what I like about this is that it shares many of the same features that made Knights of the Old Republic such a great game. The biggest one being the option of choice and how your character interacts with others, as well as the ultimate outcome of the entire story. What that means is you can play this game as good or bad, and it lets you be very, very bad, and it's so much fun. I was also surprised how much I enjoyed combat in this game because it is quite a bit different than Knights of the Old Republic. This is a mix of real-time martial arts stances as well as magic. But more than that, also dodging plays a very big part in this game. But thankfully, it feels very fluid once you get the hang of it. I also have to say that this game looks fantastic on my Xbox One X. Now, I know this came out on PC, so I imagine it's probably comparable to that version on there, but again, this is the best that I've ever seen this game run on a console, so I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, this is a very meaty RPG for those of you like me who are kind of just missing the good old days of BioWare. This game should not be missed. All right, I know that we keep talking about Crimson Skies on my channel, but that's because this game is an Xbox exclusive and it's awesome. So what makes this game so special? I mean, why do we keep talking about it? Well, obviously there's many reasons for that, but to start off with, it's an arcade flight game, as you see here, and it's set in an alternate 1930s. So think those old movie serials like Flash Gordon or Dick Tracy, or even maybe more recent stuff like Indiana Jones, that sort of style. And also the game has great graphics, as you can see here, as well as good controls for beginners to this genre. Or to put it another way, it's not too hard and it's not too difficult. It's almost like they focused on fun and accessibility first. And there's a bunch of missions to take on, everything from dogfighting enemies to sinking boats, there are time trials, and a ton more. It's kind of unfortunate because this game was sort of notorious for not selling well, and it's such a shame because, you know, fans like me and also my buddy Drunken Master Paul, we love the characters, we love the fun story, we love the gameplay. We'd love to see this game continue on, but at least you can now play it on your Xbox One. And speaking of games I never shut up about, well, here is SSX 3. And for the record, this is one of my all-time favorite games. Yes, all-time favorite games. And the Xbox version is actually my favorite. So to be able to play this game again, running on more powerful hardware, looking as good as it can possibly be is, I mean, it's a gift. I mean, basically, this is the kind of game, it's pretty funny because, you know, moving over from the original Xbox to the Xbox One, I obviously lose my save game. And this is one of those instances where I don't care. Like, it's another excuse to play it again. I'm laughing because I've done that many times now. I did it originally on the PlayStation 2, then I did it on the Xbox, and now I'm doing it again on the Xbox One X. No regrets. I love this game. Here's a Star Wars game that you don't really hear that much about, and it's kind of a shame because it's a very good one. It's called Star Wars Republic Commando, and it's definitely different than most Star Wars game that you've maybe played before because this is a tactical first-person shooter. So people who are familiar with, say, Rainbow Six or Ghost Recon are going to feel very at home here. The basic premise here is that you are a stormtrooper in the Empire, and you command a squad of other stormtroopers. So you have a sniper, a hacker, and also a heavy demolition specialist. I have to admit, it's been a while since I played the original Xbox version, so coming over to the Xbox One, I was a little apprehensive, but thankfully this game has very intuitive controls. All you have to do is simply point your crosshairs at a device or a piece of the environment that you want to highlight for a particular squad member, and then they just run over and do what they need to do. It's pretty awesome. Also, I'm a sucker for a Star Wars game that lets you play as the bad guy. I don't know why, maybe it's because I used to play TIE Fighter back in the day, but I love the opportunity of exploring the Star Wars world from the other side. So, just a really fun game, and I'd love to someday see a sequel. And then here's something I wanted to try a little bit different. This is Red Faction 2, and I'll be quite honest with you, I put this in because I hadn't really played it before. I mean, maybe I played it a little bit when it first came out, but for me, I played the original Red Faction on the PlayStation 2, but not really the sequel that much. So this was an opportunity to kind of jump in fresh and just see if it was any good. Now, for those of you that don't know, the original Red Faction on the PlayStation 2 was known as one of the first high-profile games to include destructible environments. So I was very curious to see how they're going to do that going forward in the sequel here. And as you can see in this footage here, yes, the environments are definitely destructible. So for instance, I needed to get out of this room, so I just blow a hole in the wall. And again, that never gets old, but also too, it's hard to tell where you can be destructible and where you can't. And so ultimately, especially with the first game and also after playing this one for a while, I like the idea, but I wish there was even more destructibility in this game. I kind of feel like this is just a generic first-person shooter. There were a bunch of these type of games released during this console generation, and yeah, it's got the destructible environments, but it's not enough. I mean, this is not a great game, but thankfully it is super cheap. So if you like these kind of games, definitely check it out. So that's a quick look at some of the original Xbox games that I've been playing on my Xbox One X, and as you can see, they look amazing. But that's not all the original Xbox games that I have in my collection that will work on the system. Here's a bunch more of them that I just haven't had the time to dive into yet. So I'd love to know what you guys think about the Xbox One backwards compatibility, both with the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, which obviously I haven't even touched yet, and there's even more games that are supported there. What games are you enjoying? If you have the Xbox One, please let me know down in the comments below. And also, let me know what's on your wish list. What would you like to see Microsoft bring over and let you play on the Xbox One? I'd love to know. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and take care. I probably should have mentioned that Hyperkin Duke controller is wired only. It's not wireless. And I don't know why they did that. I mean, that Duke controller is the size of a truck. There are room in that controller for lithium-ion batteries, but they didn't do it. I don't know if that was a cost thing or latency thing. I have no idea. Oh, you know what? It might actually be, it might be that LCD. Maybe because the LCD is lit up all the time. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.